Yo, what's up, team? I hope that you guys are having yourselves a fantastic Friday so far. Before we crack into things today, guys, we're gonna have our question of the day. So today's question of the day actually involves a little bit of a physical component to it. I want to know what is your favorite dance move, that one dance move that you always bust out whenever your favorite tune come on the dance floor. I want to see it. So with that today, if you guys are doing your workout on your own, you know I'm going to post this into the Trailblazer tribe. I want you to video that favorite dance move and post it into the tribe. Cool. Have fun with it, guys. You'll see mine in the comments. Okay. So now we're going to have a talk about what we have going on with our workout today. So just like last week, we're revisiting our pistol squat progression, right? So right now we're at home. It's a really, really good time to work on and develop a lot of that single leg unilateral strength and development, and really work on these fundamental skills that have broad transference over to every single thing that we do in life and in CrossFit itself. So sorry, the words there. The first thing that we're going to do, guys, today then is look at doing a 12-minute EMOM. So in minute 1, we're going to do our pistol squat progression. In minute 2, we have our single leg hip extensions for 7 to 9 reps on each side. And then in minute 3, we have our planks for 45 seconds. Now, with this piece today, guys, you'll note that I didn't give a specific number for our pistol squat progression. The reason being was because I want you guys to choose something that is sustainable, something that you can hold on to for those 4 rounds across all of those sets, okay? So for some of you, that might look like 1 to 3 reps of pistol squats. For some of you, that might look like 10 reps on each side for your pistol squats. So I want you guys to pick something. But in saying that, I want you guys to challenge yourselves to move through control with this today and own the positions of that pistol. Don't just collapse into the bottom and then do the stanky leg on the way back up as you stand back up. Squat down in control, stand back up in control. After that, we're going to have these single leg hip extensions. Just going to be building that booty, working on that little that unilateral, so side to side development, and building up the glutes and the hamstrings a bit more. After that, we're going to pair this up with a bit of a plank, so we're getting some extra midline work in there. Just knowing that everything that we're doing with the core and building that right now during this time is going to have broad transference over to everything that we have on deck once we get ourselves back into the gym. All right, team. So after we're done that EMOM, we're going to go through and get ourselves into a 20-minute AMRAP for today. So this 20-minute AMRAP that we have on deck today is a 200-meter sprint, 40 Russian backpack swings, 30 backpack lunge stirs, and 20 sit-ups. So we're going to have a talk about all of these movements here, but we're also going to talk about what sort of expectations and standards we're looking for with them today. So with the 200-meter sprint today, guys, I want you guys to try and push yourself each time that you get out on that door. Use that run to actually get that heart rate up quite a bit and to really, really push yourself. Push that pace. Don't take it as a recovery run. I want it to be a full out sprint, so that then when you come back into these movements, you're feeling gassed and you're feeling fatigued. After that, we're going to get into our 40 back or Russian backpack swings. Now, with these swings today, guys, it should be a weight that ideally you can knock these reps out in 2 sets, okay? So I know that's asking a lot. 20 reps just holding on to is a lot, but fresh, you should be able to knock it out in 2 sets. Obviously, as fatigue accumulates and forearms start to get under the pump, you might end up having to break that up into larger sets today. That's totally fine, but just think about using a weight that fresh, you could break it up in 2 sets. After that, we're going to get into a backpack lunge stir. Now, typically with a lunge stir, it's 2 reverse lunges and a thruster, but because of some of the movements that we have coming up later on in this week, so on Saturday and Sunday, we're taking the thruster out of it and replacing that with an air squat. So what that's going to look like is you're going to take a reverse lunge on your left leg, reverse lunge on your right leg, and then you are going to do a squat and stand back up, and that is 1 rep. So you're going to have 30 reps of these. They're going to get super fatiguing, and you're going to get a really, really mean leg pump through this. So you have the option of doing this, holding that backpack either in that front position, taking that bear hug, putting it in the front rack position, or having it on your back, wearing it as a normal backpack, okay? And then after that, we are going to do our 20 sit-ups. Now, with those 30 backpack lunge stirs, again, ideally, you're going to be able to cycle through it in about 2 rounds. When we get into our 20 sit-ups, this is a piece that 20 rep domain, ideally we should be able to cycle through all 20 reps and go unbroken, and then we're going to get back up and we're going to get into our next 200-meter sprint. So with this kind of workout today, guys, especially with it being a little bit of a higher rep range, I'd say even if we're looking to get in quite possibly in that 3 to 6 rounds, you guys might get more than that, who knows, depending on how fast you're moving. That's kind of what we're looking at as we're going through for a landmark with this workout today. It's going to be spicy. It's really, really going to hit that lower body and get that posterior chain fired up quite a bit, and then we'll get a little bit of midline in there as well too. I hope that you guys have fun with this piece. I'll talk to you shortly about what we're doing with our finisher. All right, guys, so after we are done our AMRAP that we have today, we have ourselves a not so optional finisher. So with this today, guys, we're going to be going through 3 sets of 30 reps of glute bridge ups. So we're driving the hips up to the ceiling, lowering them back down to the ground. So we're getting a mean booty pump out of that. Then after that, team, we are going to end up rolling over onto our tummies, taking about a 10-second rest, and then we're going to go through 20 reps of Supermans. So with the Supermans, again, we're working that posterior chain, so we're working through the glutes, but we're also working through and strengthening up that lower back, which is going to be really good for back health and just resiliency moving forward once we can get ourselves back into using some barbells. So we'll go through this set, we're going to get a mean pump out of it, and yeah, once we're done that, then that is going to be us for today. I hope that you guys have fun with this. I will get back at it tomorrow. See ya. Alright guys, so we are coming at you with our pistol squats for today. So we're working this progression again this week, trying to see how much further along we can get towards developing the skill and capacity. So our first movement that we're going to demonstrate today is going to be our pistol squat, as is where is how is. With this today, as we do this movement, guys, I want you to really, really focus on initiating that movement just like you would with the squat by sending those hips back and down. With this, we're still allowing ourselves to lean forward so that we can counterbalance. Then we're going to drive through that foot and stand up to full hip extension, as Danny is demoing for us here right now. Now there is the option too to use that hand on the foot as a counterbalance, or you can take your hands off, and this is going to challenge that stability that a little bit extra. But just like I talked about in that video today, guys, I want you to try and show control into that bottom and then stand back up to full hip extension. Sweet, guys. So our next one that we're looking at now is progression today is going from that chair. So with the chair, guys, we are basically still working on having that one leg extended out in front of us, and then we are initiating that movement by sending the hips back and down, sitting down until we touch that chair or a couch or a bed or whichever base that we're looking at squatting towards, and then we're going to still stand up, drive hard through that heel, and squeeze those hips all the way through to full extension. So Danny's going to demo a couple reps of this for us here. So she's got that leg extended out in front of her. She's still initiating that movement by driving the hips back, keeping that midline tight, and then as you notice, as she stands up, those shoulders are coming forward so that then she can counterbalance and stand up to full hip extension. Sweet. So another option that we have today too, guys, as far as our scaling progression goes, is we can tuck our foot behind our heel, as Danny's demonstrating here, and then all the same movement principles apply. We're going to send those hips back and down, and then try and allow ourselves to maintain that nice straight line through that upper back, and then we're driving those feet through the floor up to full hip extension. So send the hips back and down, drive hard through the heel, guys, as we do this. Cool. Sweet. And then from there, guys, a couple of other alternatives as we're working through these scaling and these optimization options are to look at our lunging pattern. So we can do a reverse lunge, and notice how Danny's making sure that she's still keeping those 90-degree angles with her knees and that vertical torso. Another option that we have with that lunge is to plantar flex, so point that toe, and instead of landing on our toe, so Danny's going to do her lunge, drop that knee back and down. See how her foot is there, how it's fully flush with the ground. Now when she goes to stand up from that lunge, it's going to be considerably harder because she can't actually drive through or use any momentum from that leg that's on the ground. So this is something that we can take a crack at with these lunges too, that are going to help build us towards the direction of getting that pistol. Sweet. Alright team, so our next movement is all about our booty gains here. So we're going to be doing our single leg hip extension just like we did last week. We're going to start off with our feet as close to our hips or to our glutes as possible. From there we're going to have one leg extended out straight. From here we're creating as much tension as we possibly can. So we're bracing that tummy, bracing, squeezing those glutes on, squeezing our quads as hard as we can, and then we're driving that heel through the floor and bringing those hips up to full extension, and then bringing them back down to the ground. So that whole time we're squeezing those glutes as hard as we possibly can. I want you guys to think about, as you squeeze those glutes, that you have like a $1,000 note back there and you don't want to let it drop for this whole entire set. Thanks. All right, guys, so our next movement that we have today is our plank. So we're gonna go from the elbows today, guys. I note how Danny's elbows are stacked underneath her shoulders. From here, I want you to drive those elbows hard through the floor. You're gonna squeeze those glutes as hard as you can and think about pulling that rib cage to the pelvis. So get that tummy nice and tight, just like someone's about to punch you, and keep that tabletop back as we hang out here for 45 seconds. Peace. All right, guys, so our next movement that we're going to look at today is going to be our Russian swing. We can do this with a backpack, with a kettlebell, with a dumbbell, whatever implement that we have. With this movement today, guys, I want you to make sure that as you pick that object off the ground, that you're doing so with that nice flat back, that big proud gorilla chest. From here, you're going to stand up to full extension, and then you're going to bring that implement in between your legs, and then drive hard through the heels and bring up to eye level. So that whole time we're pushing those feet hard through the floor, we're snapping those hips through to the front of the wall in front of us and driving those knees back behind us, okay? And we're trying to keep that nice flat back. We aren't overextending or anything like that. That whole time we're driving hard through the floor, squeezing those glutes, and trying to keep those nice on arms. Okay, team, so today we have our backpack lunge stir. So this is a little bit newer of a movement to some of us. So what we're looking at doing with this is 2 reverse lunges and 1 air squat. So with these reverse lunges, we're stepping back, creating those 90-degree angles with the knees and making sure that we're keeping a nice vertical torso. And then with those air squats, we're setting up with the feet hip width to shoulder width apart and driving those knees out nice and wide, sending those hips back and down, driving hard up through the ground as we stand up to full hip extension. So just like Yanni's keeping there, this is what we're looking for with this lunge stir. With this, a couple other options for holding it. You can hold that backpack in the front rack position, or you can have it on your back, as I said in the video. So whichever works comfortably for you guys, that is what position I want you to hold as you go through this today. All right, team, so our final movement that we have in our AMRAP today is our sit-up. So with this today, guys, we're starting with those arms fully overhead, then we're throwing the arms in front of us and bringing them in front of those toes, and then reaching back to full extension. So this is what we're looking for with each of them. Those feet are being, the soles of the feet are being placed together, and we're holding out as we do our 20 reps of these sit-ups today. Thanks. So for our finisher today, guys, we're going through and doing some glute bridge ups. So we're gonna have those heels holding as close to our hips as possible. We're gonna drive the heels through the floor, lift those hips up to full extension, creating that straight line from the knee to the hip, and then come back down to the ground. So that's what we're looking at doing with this movement. That whole time we're keeping that tension on, squeezing those glutes as tight as possible, thinking about driving that heel and the big toe through the ground. From there, team, once we've got through our 30 reps of this, we're gonna roll over onto our tummy, and then we're gonna hit our Superman. So our Supermans is basically snapping up into that arch or dish position that we see with a lot of our gymnastics movements, and then coming back down to the ground. So we're squeezing those quads, squeezing the glutes, and keeping the legs pulled together, pointing the toes across the room and pointing the fingertips across the room in front of us, and then lifting that chest and lifting those legs off the ground. Sweet.